Daniel Foster didn't look like a CEO that morning. Old flannel shirt, beat-up baseball cap, thick-rimmed glasses that slipped down his nose. He walked into the downtown comfort home store unnoticed, just another quiet man on the floor. But behind the disguise was a mission. Comfort Home was his company. 25 stores across Chicago, built from scratch. His vision had always been simple, affordable, respectful, family-first service. Lately, though, complaints, emails, cold calls. Staff is rude, manager doesn't care. And every time Daniel brought it up in meetings, he heard the same excuse. It's nothing serious. So, he decided to see for himself. He picked the location with the most complaints. He'd work a full shift on the floor as an undercover temp. No cameras, no assistants, just observation. He walked in just before opening, the scent of polished wood filling his lungs. He pretended to stock shelves, adjust cushions, wipe counters, and then the bell above the door jingled. An elderly man stepped in, leaning heavily on a worn-down cane. Daniel watched him shuffle toward a recliner and gently sit down. "Looking for a new chair," the man said softly. "Mine's, well, old, like me." That's when it happened. From behind the counter, a supervisor barked, "You move slower than paint drying, old man." Laughter echoed from the break room. The old man's smile faded instantly. Daniel's jaw tightened. He didn't say anything. Not yet. But in that moment, something changed in his eyes. This wasn't just about furniture anymore. Daniel stayed quiet. He watched as the old man, Bay Harris, the name stitched on his veteran-style cap, gently touched the fabric of the recliner. His hands shook slightly, but his eyes were full of focus. A moment later, Greg, the floor supervisor, walked by again, loud on purpose. "Oh, he's still here?" Greg muttered to a nearby employee. "Pretty sure he's just here for the free AC." Daniel clenched his jaw. Bay Harris looked up. "This one's nice, but I'll have to come back. My budget's a little tight." Daniel walked over, still in disguise, and gently knelt beside him. "No rush, sir," he said kindly. "We'll help you find something that fits just right, for you and your budget." Bay Harris smiled weakly. "That's kind of you, son." Greg rolled his eyes from across the room and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Don't waste your time, rookie. He's not buying anything, eh? He just hangs around." That was the last straw. Daniel didn't react, at least not visibly. But inside, something snapped. When Bay Harris eventually left, empty-handed and defeated, Daniel walked out after him. "Give me a few days," he said softly. "We'll figure something out." Bay Harris just nodded and shuffled down the sidewalk. Back in his car, Daniel pulled out his phone. "Karen," he said to his assistant, "I want Greg's employee file on my desk tomorrow. First thing." He looked back at the store, eyes narrowed. "This company was built on respect," he muttered, "and I'm taking it back. One store at a time." The next morning, Daniel was back in disguise. Same cap, same worn-out shirt. But this time, he wasn't just watching. He was listening. Greg was already on the floor, barking orders like a drill sergeant. "Move the display over there, and stop standing around looking dumb." Daniel pretended to rearrange some lamps near the checkout while casually chatting with Emma, a soft-spoken cashier. "Is Greg always like this?" he asked under his breath. Emma looked around, then whispered, "He's worse when no one's watching." Daniel nodded. "And that older gentleman, Harris? Does he come in often?" Emma's expression softened. "Yeah, he always looks at that same recliner. He told me once it reminded him of one he used to sit in with his wife. She passed last year." Daniel felt his chest tighten. That's when the bell rang. Bay Harris stepped in again, slow and gentle, his cane tapping against the tile. He made his way straight to the same recliner and gently sat down. Greg saw him and smirked. "Oh no, look who's back," he said loudly. Hope the chair doesn't break under you, Gramps. Bay Harris's face sank. Daniel stood frozen for half a second. Then he stepped forward. "We should help him," Daniel said, voice firm. Greg scoffed. "Relax, newbie. He can't even afford the foam in that thing." Daniel turned to him, eyes sharp. "Every person who walks through that door deserves dignity." Greg rolled his eyes. "Whatever, man. You've been here 5 minutes." Daniel didn't respond, but in his mind, something locked into place. Tomorrow, the truth would come out, and Greg wouldn't see it coming. Daniel walked into the store the next morning. No disguise this time, no cap, no glasses, no flannel, just a sharp navy blazer, polished shoes, and the presence of someone who knew exactly who he was. Emma nearly dropped her clipboard when she saw him. "Good morning, Mr. Foster," she said, wide-eyed. He smiled gently. "Morning, Emma." Greg, at the back counter, didn't even glance up. "Who's the suit?" he muttered to Tom. Daniel walked straight toward him. Greg turned, irritated. "Can I help you?" He froze mid-sentence. Daniel reached into his jacket and pulled out his ID badge. "I'm Daniel Foster," he said evenly, "CEO of Comfort Home." Silence. Greg's mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. Emma looked like she'd just witnessed a magic trick. Greg stammered, I didn't know." "You didn't need to know," Daniel said, eyes locked. "You just needed to treat people like human beings." Greg looked around, sweating. "Sir, Daniel raised a hand. "I heard everything. The jokes, the mockery, the disrespect. You're done here." Greg went pale. "But it was just a joke." Daniel's voice didn't waver. Bay Harris lost his wife. That chair wasn't just furniture. It was a memory. Greg looked down. "I didn't mean you didn't care," Daniel said sharply. "Clean out your locker. You're no longer part of this company." The store was dead silent. No one moved. Daniel turned to the rest of the staff. "From today on, this place changes, for good." The store felt different after Greg left. Lighter, quieter, like it could finally breathe. Daniel gathered the team near the front window. Emma, Tom, the warehouse guys, all looking unsure, like they were waiting for a lecture. Instead, Daniel smiled. "I want to say thank you," he began. "Not for pretending everything was okay, but for staying when things weren't." Emma spoke up first. "We were scared, Mr. Foster. Greg made us feel small." Daniel nodded. "Not anymore." He pulled out a notepad from his pocket. "I want to hear from you. What's not working? What needs to change?" Tom raised a hand. "Training. We barely got any." Emma added, "Some of the prices confuse customers, and the system crashes almost daily." Daniel wrote everything down. "This is good. This is what I needed to know." "And what about Harris?" Emma asked softly. Daniel smiled. "He's coming in later. I told him we had something for him." When Bay Harris arrived that afternoon, Daniel met him at the door with a handshake. "We saved your recliner," he said. "It's yours, no charge." Bay Harris's lips trembled. I can't accept that." "You're not accepting charity," Daniel said gently. "You're accepting respect." Tears welled up in the old man's eyes. "My wife loved that chair. This means more than you know." Daniel helped load it into the delivery van himself. Emma snapped a picture from behind, the CEO lifting a box with rolled-up sleeves. "Not what I expected from a boss," she said, smiling. Daniel just shrugged. Maybe it's time to change what boss looks like. 1 month later, Daniel returned to the store. This time, through the front doors, no disguises. "Mr. Foster?" Emma greeted him with a wide smile. "You're early." The place was buzzing. Shelves were spotless. Customers were laughing with staff. and a small chalkboard sign read, "Respect is our policy, always." A framed letter hung near the entrance, Bay Harris's handwritten note. "Thank you for giving me back a piece of my home and my heart." Daniel walked the floor slowly, soaking in the atmosphere. Employees waved. Customers asked for help and got it, warmly. The store felt alive again. In the corner, he spotted Bay Harris, leaning on his cane, studying a wooden armchair. "Looking for something new?" Daniel asked, stepping beside him. Bay Harris chuckled. "Not really, just visiting an old friend." Daniel smiled. "That one's yours too." Harris's eyes twinkled. "If I keep coming back, you'll run out of inventory." "We'll keep one ready," Daniel said with a wink. Later, the new supervisor handed Daniel a report. "Sales are up 40% this month." Daniel nodded. "People come back when they feel respected." He turned to the team. "You rebuilt this place, from the inside out, so today, you're all getting a raise." Applause broke out. Some clapped, some teared up. Emma whispered, "We didn't just get heard, we got seen." Daniel replied quietly, "And you always will." The store was renamed Comfort Revival. Every location followed. The framed letter from Bay Harris became standard in all 25 stores, a daily reminder of why they mattered. Daniel looked around one last time. "This," he thought, "is the kind of company I dreamed of." And as Bay Harris settled into his chair, he smiled softly. "Feels like I'm sitting with her again."
If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.